What's the good word, It's your boy DKB here. So the New York Jets, depending on who you've asked to, plenty of us will say we've had an amazing 2024 offseason. Some people even call it historic with the free agent class that we had, completely overhauling this offensive line. Three starters seemed like a far-fetched thought for us in free agency. Maybe one or two guys at best, and then we'd have to spend our 10th pick on it. But we address all three positions in free agency. We added a dynamic wide receiver, Mike Williams, and we still have the opportunity to go out there and help address the defense even further with a talent like Jadeveon Clowney. But all of that to say, the thought has crept into my mind again that maybe the Jets are overhyping or, hyping us up to such this extreme that we'll end up undelivering once again. Now, I'm kind of somewhere caught in the middle of this, right? Obviously, the offseason has been amazing for us, given our cap restraints, given the lack of draft capital, given the history of New York Jets in free agency. And then a lot of that also is just trying to stay mellow, right? I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. Let's see what the product on the field looks like ultimately. But I couldn't help noticing that there was two analysts now, if you will, in Nick Wright from Fox Sports, LeSean McCoy from FS1. I want to say also Speak, a variety of stuff going on for him, right? But nonetheless, these two guys brought up some important points that I felt like was worth addressing here for the New York Jets. So we know for this 2024 season, we have Super Bowl aspirations, right? 2023 was definitely that for us. Aaron Rodgers went down. We never had great backup plans. Everybody just seemed to understand that there was going to be a collapse, and we just dealt with it, right? We took that haymaker on the chin. We have Super Bowl aspirations once again, is due to bringing in a Tyron Smith, a Morgan Moses, a John Simpson, strong representation from a Ravens offensive line that performed very well. One of the best tackles in NFL history in Tyron Smith. It's bringing in Mike Williams, a high impact wide receiver talent, which helps deepen the roster. Most of us are just happy that Allen Lazard is going to get pushed further down the depth chart ladder. And then you think about the developments and upgrades on the defensive side, right? Chuck Clark seems like he was going to be an upgrade over a guy like Jordan Whitehead anyways. We could look to the draft to address things there, but free agency has also been slow at that position. So you could still bring in a Simmons, a Quandre Diggs, somebody like that, depending on what kind of money is left over if we do sign Clowney or if he moves on and we decide to turn our attention to that unit. Addressing Nick Wright's comments, though, about the way our offseason is going. So he mentioned, and this is what kind of drew my attention to check out the article, but he said, if I were a Jets fan, I'd be livid. Very old team in the league where that just doesn't work. And, essentially highlighting his whole conversation piece was that the New York Jets are building a team that doesn't make sense. A old injured team is what we're going to be trotting out in 2024. And you could break this into two pieces: the age concern, the injury concern, right? If we talk about the latter first, when it comes to injury, that is a huge thought, right? You think about the quarterback room, Aaron Rodgers, 40 plus years old, coming off an Achilles. Yes, he attacked rehab like a beast. Things have looked great. I think the updates, in my opinion, weren't necessarily so much to get hyped for his return in the regular season, although I think he definitely would have tried to get it done. But I think it was more so also the forethought to say, I know free agency is coming up. Guys are going to have question marks. I'm still here. I'm committed. You've seen how my rehab has gone in the news somewhere. It won't be hard to find. Come in. You guys should feel comfortable about the situation, right? So love that aspect if my thinking is accurate. But behind him, backup situation has definitely improved with Tyrod Taylor. But again, 30-plus-year-old, I think he's 32. He's also a little bit more of a, actually, I don't think it's far-fetched to say he has the injury-prone label, right? multiple injuries over the course of his career, always at times where it seems like he's just getting an opportunity to start and maybe have a team consider him. Maybe not the quarterback of the future, but definitely an option for the next 2-3 years to give him some kind of longevity instead of bouncing from team to team, right? The Jets being his 7th team, I believe, officially during his career so far. Offensive line room, Morgan Moses. He had the torn labrum, I believe it was, or torn rotator cuff that he played on all 2023. He had surgery, right? Didn't really miss any games, but still, something cause for concern. Tyron Smith. I think I saw something that he missed 17 or 18 games in the last 2 years, right? Elijah Vera Tucker, right? He's coming back from his injury, 2 major ones in back-to-back seasons. You take a look at the wide receiver room. Mike Williams, also known as a guy that picks up quite a few injuries, and even though he's played through quite a bit, he misses time fairly often. So a lot of concern still for the offensive piece. As much as the talent has been significantly upgraded, can that talent actually stay on the field? So I think the concerns there are definitely valid, and it's the reason why I think there's a certain approach we need to take in the draft, but that'll be addressed in a different video. When it comes to the age, though, I think that's less of an issue, right? And for what it's worth, Nick Wright, I think he made some coherent points, but also I can tell that the man is kind of a buffoon, right? In this same segment of him kind of breaking down his issues with the Jets, he put Trent McDuffie over Sauce Gardner as a cornerback, right? Trent McDuffie, awesome guy. Sauce Gardner's in a different sphere. Now, that aside, getting back into this age piece, our roster may not be as old as many people are going to think. Now, I'm not sure where we'll end up ranking and all of that kind of stuff. You know, it wasn't so long ago that we were the youngest team in the league. But you take a look at the average age of the last 5 Super Bowl winning teams. 2024, Chiefs, 34 years old. 2023, Chiefs, 33 years old. 2022, Rams, 26 years old. Buccaneers in 2021, 28 years old. 2020 again with the Chiefs, 27 years old. You take a look at the average age of the roster for the Jets last year, 27 years old. Average age so far this offseason, I think we have about 61 rosterable players signed with contracts and all that good stuff right now. 26 and a half years old. Now, you do have to factor in this is COVID-related drafts. So you're having a lot of these super seniors and stuff, guys that are already 23, 24, 25 years old that are coming in. We may be targeting a handful of those guys based on our presence in the Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl. But nonetheless, I don't think it'll be a significant raise. And based on what we've seen from the last 5 Super Bowl teams, I think we're doing just fine in that category, right? Now, LeSean McCoy, he had the better argument, in my opinion, when it comes to concerns about the New York Jets, playoff success, how we built this roster, etc. But it's centered around one player, Aaron Rodgers. He said, I'm not counting on Aaron Rodgers until I see him in the playoffs and actually win some games and go to the Super Bowl. A lot of his argument was centered around the fact that as great as Aaron Rodgers is, all of the accolades that he's been able to achieve over his career, the exceptional touchdown to interception ratio, all the crazy yardage, the comeback plays that he's had, and a lot of those games that he's just really put opponents away, right? Bears domination for the tenure of his Packers career. You take a look at the playoffs, and it's not everything you would hope to be from a guy that's supposed to be one of the best to ever play football, right? 12-10 record. LeSean McCoy specifically mentioned he doesn't see Rodgers in the same light as guys like Mahomes, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, right? And to be fair, I think he has a solid point right now. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a Super Bowl winner, but ultimately, he hasn't been able to get his team over that hump. And regardless of how other people feel, right, my opinion is personally, I think the defense hasn't really helped him out as often as they could have when it came to those last handful of championship losses that he took. He's had to do more than he's ever really needed to do. Prest had to kind of work outside of what his natural style and structure of the offense is. And you can represent that in a few quick numbers, right? 4 champ games, 4 4 championship games for him, right? The last 4 that he lost, 11 sacks in those games. I believe he had about 6 interceptions in those 4 games as well. And, some of the things that jumped to my mind immediately was 2 or 3 of those losses, you had some of those final calls that came down to a referee blowing a whistle over a dumb play that a guy made, or just a flat out mistake, right? I think there was a special teams touchdown in the waning moments of one game, or a mistake that an offensive guy made. Either way, something that was essentially out of his control for that piece. So I won't necessarily hold that against him, but still, 12-10 playoff record so far during his career. LeSean McCoy's point is essentially that before we can just sit here and say the guy has everything we need, we are obviously going to be a Super Bowl contender, we do need to see a little bit more of that success, right? Get past that championship game, get into the Super Bowl, get yourself another title. He's already putting Mahomes in that greatest of the great category, which makes sense, right? Mahomes has never not played in the championship game. He's already won multiple Super Bowl titles, so I get it. Tom Brady, obviously the GOAT when it comes to winning and everything about being a winner. And then, obviously the old legends. So, it's a fair play. Ultimately, I think we're, I don't want to say a guaranteed playoff team. You can never put those promises on paper, but we essentially stack up very well to be a playoff team. At that point, you hope everything else that we've done when it's come to our roster management, the elite defense, these special teams, which should be above average to elite as well, considering they should get a boost from the offense as well. The young talent, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, you still do have ABT out there. You're bringing in a fresh new draft class, which is deep at wide receiver to further increase that unit, strong at the top of blue chip guys where we should be able to at least get one of them with the 10th pick, and plenty of guys that balled out from a RAS score perspective if you just want to talk about elite athletes. So I'm curious. Let me know what you guys ultimately think about this offseason so far, how it's gone, and what concerns you guys have. And I'll catch you again. Peace.